So you played the Soviet Union and you got steamrolled by Germany. That's okay, it happens to the best of us. And I'm here to make sure it never happens to you again.
It's hopeless.
You can't give up hope just because it's hopeless. You gotta hope even more and cover your ears and go blah 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 blah.
So together we will make a glorious Soviet Union worthy of Stalin that can never, ever lose. Iron Man is on with historical focuses. I am running my name mod, so every division is going to be named after channel members, which is why I can't get achievements, because apparently adding a name list to the game breaks it. So be it. Let's go. Soviet Union. Now, I'm gonna preface this by saying this assumes you have the No Step Back DLC, but even if you don't, I believe the path of Marxism, Leninism, and the center, the historical paths, are still at your disposal. So this will be a historical guide for the Soviet Union. I will exclude meme strats and early wars because I know you can take out Turkey and Romania in the first year of the game. You can take out Poland. You can create an impenetrable wall of puppets and Germany won't be able to get to you. There's many memes available, but today it will be historical. And historical means we start out with the path of Marxism, Leninism into the center, and then pretty much follow this left-hand path all the way down to the block of rights and Trotskyites, as well as behead the snake. Several of these focuses have timers built in, like the anti-Soviet Trotskyist center, that requires a certain amount of days to have passed from the previous focus. Whenever we run into a roadblock or a small time gate like this, we will deviate into other parts of the tree. I will hold your hand throughout. So let's start with the path of Marxism, Leninism. Construction. We start off on civilian economy, which does mean we have a bit of a penalty towards building anything that's not infrastructure or dockyards. Dockyards are useless for the Soviet Union, so I like starting out with a little bit of infrastructure in places that, one, have a lot of steel or tungsten, and two, build slots. Like Orenburg here, 6 build slots plus a bunch of steel. Magnitogorsk, a lot of steel. Not a lot of build slots, but a lot of steel. Kharkov here, also many build slots, lots of steel. So those are the kind of provinces you want to look at. We first want to build as much infrastructure there as possible. Not only does that increase, let me zoom in here. You can see if the infrastructure were to be built, you would have plus 12 extra steel. Not only does it give you more resources, but anything that you build after the infrastructure gets completed will be built quicker. So it's preparing the road for the future. So I'll find a couple of provinces that have a reasonable amount of build slots and add some infrastructure there, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-ish will do. After that, we build civilian factories in those same provinces. And not only those same provinces, we'll then also look at other places that do have high infrastructure and work our way down as we run out of build slots. Good candidates are always Moscow, Stalingrad, I believe Leningrad, but it's currently all built up. So for the foreseeable future, we will be building many civilian factories. Now, research. We only have 3 slots. We will get more, but we'll start off with 3, and our focus will be on the industry. So we'll work on production and construction techs first, as well as engineering. Production. 20 factories on basic infantry equipment. We'll add 3 to support equipment, 3 to artillery. We will remove the improved light tanks. I don't like light tanks. Get rid of them. We are also going to remove all the airplanes here, and then we'll add a production Q4. Let's take a look at this. Towed anti-air. Put 3 factories on that as well. And we'll add a production Q4 civilian trains. We'll add 3 to that as well. This is mostly to anticipate the fact that the Germans are going to bomb a lot of our trains. So let's take a couple off guns. As for the Navy, you can delete all these ships. They don't matter. Or you can build them. That's how little they matter. If you want them built, I recommend you deploy them manually by clicking here auto and have them deployed in the Baltic fleet, the Baltiski Flot. Yeah, just deploy them to the Baltic fleet. Otherwise, they deploy to the Black Sea. Now, recently they did patch the Black Sea, allowing your ships to actually get out, but I don't know if the next patch is going to break that again. So dump all of these in the Baltic fleet. That way, at least you'll be able to use them. I'm sure people are going to tell me that it's optimal if you don't build the ships. That's entirely possible. I just like building the ships. Speaking of the ships, every ship that is not currently in the Black Sea I am moving into the Baltic Fleet. So that includes the Far Eastern Fleet, as well as the Northern Fleet up there, except for the Black Seas Fleet. The Black Seas Fleet, just put them on strike force in the Black Sea. That should be enough power to dissuade or just disable Romania and Bulgaria from naval landing in this area. Air Force, we do have an Air Force. Let's just group it up in Moscow for now. Army, we have a massive, and I do mean massive army. This is the biggest army on the planet in 1936, and it's the strongest. We'll split off the mountaineers, put them somewhere separate. We'll split off all the trucks and tanks. We'll put them near Leningrad. That leaves me with 18 NKVD divisions. These are currently locked, so for now I'll also split them off in their own little army. Park them anywhere near Yaroslavl, that'll do. That leaves me with about 95 divisions, 73 infantry divisions and 22 cavalry divisions. Just convert everything to infantry, and now we're gonna split them into 4 armies. We're not gonna assign any field marshals or any generals. You'll see why later, but I'll start by telling you where we're gonna put our army. So what we're gonna do is sit behind this river line. This is the Dnieper line. We're gonna do that, follow that all the way up towards Vitebsk. We're gonna take the tile of Vitebsk and the tile below Vitebsk as well. And then we're gonna sit on this river line. I keep forgetting what it's called. Is that the Vistula? I can't no, that's not the Vistula. The Vistula is in Poland. Either way, we are gonna be sitting behind this river line as soon as we eat Latvia. Like that. That is essentially the front line. There are 2 exceptions on what side of the river we're going to be sitting on. One is Kiev, because Kiev is a major victory point, but more importantly, it is a major supply hub. It provides supply for the entire region here. If we lose Kiev, the Germans would be able to easily push us because the troops on this side of the river would starve while the Germans would have all the supply. And for that same reason, we are also going to hold Dnipropetrovsk and the tile below Dnipropetrovsk. Supply is important. Everybody can exercise until level 3, honestly. Except for the tanks. That's just a terrible waste of equipment. Now, while all these boys are exercising, we're gonna train a couple more. I'll need to train 1 division to fill out that army of 23, and then another 24. So I want a 25 divisions ready to deploy. I'll pump them out wherever and make sure they reinforce the main front. On the low-ish priority, I want the units in the field to actually be reinforced first. While I'm working on that, I'm going to quickly change them into my member divisions. Where's my mod? Is my mod not working? My mod is not... Oh, my mod is working. There we go. That's nice. All named after channel members. Unfortunately, I have to do this manually for all of the divisions in the field now, which is going to take a while. I'll do that off camera. That is the initial setup done. Don't worry about Japan. Japan on historical will not even look in your direction other than to offer you a non-aggression pact. Now, the Soviet Union is plagued by several issues, which we'll have to solve. The Trotskyite plot isn't great, and it takes a while to fix. Politicized military, great. The 5-year plan, currently not great, but it's gonna work out to our benefit in the future. Soviet Air Force is just horrible, and the Red Army's not feeling too hot. Fortunately, we have about 5.5 years to fix that. Path of Marxism-Leninism is done. We will now take the historical approach, which is the center. Stalin's mustache will rule supreme. And with the center done, we will stay the path, the Stalin Constitution and Zinovieite's terrorist center next. 2 things. Let's look at Turkey first. Turkey will always try to take control of the Bosporus. On historical, just mobilize the armed forces immediately. That's just a free 5% war support, and Turkey will always back down. They will offer compromise where you can sail your ships out of the Bosporus, and they can post troops in Edirne, Istanbul, and Bursa. So everybody wins. Secondly, after completing the center, this will pop up in your events and decisions. Political paranoia. And Stalin's gonna wanna purge everyone. The NKVD will start investigating people that Stalin suspects are possibly harboring anti-revolutionary feelings. In short, Stalin's gonna shoot pretty much everyone in the Soviet Union unless you do something to stop him. The way to stop him is to get all the way down here, the block of rights and and Trotskyites, this turns off the mechanic. And the best way to handle the whole thing is just to rush down there as fast as you can, taking into account the focuses where you have to wait a set number of days. So we'll try to optimize that as best we can. Additionally, events will pop up when our paranoia goes over 25, where we can either purge a admiral or general, or get more paranoia, or have negative events for the army, the navy, or the air force, or get more paranoia. And the idea is to always do the purge, always hurt the army branch instead of getting more paranoia. If you get paranoia too high, over 75, you get great purge events, and they're even worse. So the idea is to manage paranoia as best you can. Fortunately, there are other methods to handle paranoia. There will be a series of decisions visible below this that turns on later on, where you spend a little bit of political power to ease political paranoia back down. The idea is to keep it low. At any time you feel political paranoia is getting up there, it's gonna get close to 75. I haven't had an event, or I had an event where I either clicked wrong or I just could not justify purging this amazing general, like maybe Zhukov. There's options here. An inspection in the administration I would not recommend. This is usually not great, so I tend to ignore these. Inspection in the army, again, not great, but you can make it work. What you really want is inspections in the Navy and the Air Force. The Navy is utterly and completely irrelevant for the Soviet Union, and the Air Force takes a backseat to the Army anyway. If the Army's in good shape, the Air Force is just a supporting unit. That's just, if somebody has to hurt, it's either the Navy or the Air Force. Another option are the forged satisfactory production reports. Just give Stalin some fake reports and he'll be happy. This one is only available for like once every 180 days if you click it. So you spend a little bit of political power, political paranoia goes down by 20, but you do get a hit to your consumer goods. And it's a good thing to click if you don't want paranoia to go up. Here we go. The NKVD units, after doing the focus the center, the NKVD template is unlocked and you can turn these units into something else. I usually just turn them into basic infantry and assign them to the main army. All right, we have the Stalin constitution. We also have a lot of political power. Now, we could go to partial mobilization, but I recommend avoiding that. Yes, it would be great, but we can get war economy really soon as the war in Spain kicks off. We're going free trade. I know how it sounds, a communist nation on free trade, but you know, historically, Soviet Union was shipping out everything it could mine just to get more fuel for the industry, which is exactly what we'll do. This will boost our construction speed, our research speed, our factory output, everything, and all it costs us is a little bit of steel that will be funneling out into the world. Our next move will be trying to get war economy. Got my basic medium tools. We're now going to grab Dispersed Industry 1. We'll also look at improved machine tools, and we're going to focus heavily on the industry early game. There we go. The first Moscow trial. People are getting yeeted. Smirnov, Shilopov, I can't even pronounce all of these. All of these people gone. Reduced to atoms, but political paranoia has once again reverted to zero. So we're going to steer from one great trial to the next, and we now have to wait 175 days for the next step in this line. That is about 2 long focuses and a short one. Get heavy industry and infrastructure effort. That is 70 days, those two combined. Then I want to grab addressing internal affairs. That is 105 days. And then we can do 2 more short ones or a long one. I recommend taking the New Soviet Woman for more stability, as well as the focus here, the Comintern, just to get access to the Spanish military advisors. Honestly, we're gonna want to send military advisors to Spain as soon as possible because of the army experience this will give us for free, and the war kicks off relatively early, so the quicker we have this, the better the better things are. There are a lot of things that the Soviet Union needs, so stability is gonna be important, factories are gonna be important. Spain did the thing, they always do the thing. We're gonna talk to regular Spain, and we're gonna send an attaché, but they will say no because their opinion is too low. We're gonna start by improving relations a little bit. We need relations, I think, at 20, and we are also going to send volunteers. We can send 6 divisions. Now, the best 6 divisions we can send is 6 mountaineers due to the terrain in Spain, or 6 tanks, but I prefer to send some mountaineers. They tend to perform better. We can now stop improving our relations. It's over 20, and as soon as we have 100 political power, there we go, we will send an attaché. This will give us 10% 15% war support, and it will also give us 15% of their army experience, which is brilliant because we're gonna need a lot of it. At any rate, let's go help the Spanish. I'll be playing at a much lower speed from now on, just because I'd like to try to make the Spanish win. You don't have to. Like, the outcome of the Spanish Civil War is irrelevant for the guide. It's just a nice thing to do while you're waiting, but if you don't want to bother too much, just make sure these guys are fighting and getting army experience. Now, these civilian trains will also switch over to armored trains. It looks like we'll cut off 4, maybe 5 units here if things go well. We have the Comintern. Now let's send military advisors to Spain. Spain's gonna like that, and we are gonna like that. All right, looking back at our political paranoia, you can see it will steadily increase, both because of Henryk Jagoda, head of the NKVD, and Joseph Stalin himself. This is Mr. Jagoda here. So eventually it is going to slowly tick up. Now we still have quite a ways to go until we can do the next big purge that is going to reset it again. And at this point, it might not be a terrible idea to forge some satisfactory production reports, get that political paranoia down, and we don't risk losing generals or risk losing things of importance. So if we click that, you can tell political paranoia has gone back down. We've got 35 army experience. I'm going to go here, Spirit of the Army and the Professional Officer Corps. Ideological loyalty, we don't need more manpower. Bayonet strength, really cool, but not something we need. I prefer the Professional Officer Corps because it makes doctrines cheaper. All right, and the Soviet Trotskyist Center, that's another major purge. A lot of people getting yeeted, which means we can continue. Next up, the Workers' Dictatorship, and then the Military Conspiracy. Again, the Military Conspiracy requires a timer that starts ticking from the empty Soviet Trotskyite Center. This takes 70 days, so for the Military Conspiracy, let's just do the Workers' Dictatorship and you'll see. Next up, political power, I'm gonna hire Mikhail Kalinin. I think the 15% stability this man gives us, and he sticks around, outweighs the Captain of Industry. Once our dockyards finish building the ships in the queue, just switch the convoys. We're not going to build additional ships. The ships literally don't matter. Time to make those changes I highlighted earlier. A little bit expensive in terms of political power, but it ends up paying for itself if you use these guys a lot. We'll have to see how the campaign goes to know if we actually will. We're going to go into the Strelkovaya Divizia. We're gonna edit that. We're gonna duplicate it. Call these my reserves. We'll make them dirt cheap. Just a solid infantry block, and we'll remove all support. So they require only infantry equipment and manpower. And we are going to train, well, as many as we can. I can only train 99, but we'll need 120 of those at least. So we will be training and deploying these as the equipment trickles in. Again, medium priority. The highest priority is given to the reinforcements. All right, we've got dispersed, and looking at the industry techs, we're pretty much caught up. The rest of this is way too far ahead of time, and the excavation techs aren't really needed, at least not yet. So at this point, we're going to diverge and grab 1938 mediums. Yes, it's ahead of time and still takes 253 days, but two things. This means I'll be able to build these tanks before the war starts. I'll have a stockpile, and two, soon Germany is going to take their focus treaty with the USSR. We are going to say yes to this treaty, and what that does is give us bonuses to tank research, which will then apply to the 1940s medium, which we will also, with that bonus, be able to research and produce before the war starts. So when Germany comes at our door, we'll have a really big stick ready for them. That is NKVD primacy done. We need to wait until, well, a day ticks by, and we can do the next focus. We have our espionage agency. We have the 2 slots because we got an extra one from NKVD, and what we'll be grabbing first is localized training centers. This will allow us to hire local spies. They're much harder to detect for the enemy. It helps with Germany. Germany tends to find a lot of spies, not as many as the Soviets, but Other things to grab will be the cryptology department and all of its upgrades, the unfortunately named pills, and then things like the departments up there. There we go, the military conspiracy, the great purge of the generals. So we're about to lose Igorov, Tukachevsky, Blyuker, Primakov. Ay. Everybody's about to get yeeted. So that seriously thins out military high command. Timoshenko managed to survive, so I'm not sure he sticks around for the final purge, but we now have to wait 175 days to complete the block of Rights and Trotskyites. So I'm going to start out by beheading the snake. This will give us another operative slot and the ability ability to finally deal with Trotsky, and then, hopefully by then, we should be ready to finish the 5-year plan. And as soon as we have the required spy strength in Mexico, we'll go for the subtle assassination. Takes a little bit longer, but it's less risky. With the purges almost done, and I'm pretty sure Timoshenko doesn't get yeeted, let's appoint this man to our military high command, start getting some more army experience in. We're gonna need it when we start designing and building tanks. Any subsequent spies, we're gonna try and choose German ones. We can generate them whenever we have a free operative slot. We can go into our decisions and then click a button like this, only it will be green, and we will recruit a German spy. And we'll put those, start spying on the Germans, our future enemies. We have our foreign experts. Let's take another look at the timer. 35 days to go, so we'll quickly grab the extra factories, either from Eastern Development or the Developed Urals. Both are fine. With those foreign experts unlocked, what we're going to be saving up for is this, the Project, whatever, the construction company here. This looks fairly mid, I admit, but this one, once hired, can be upgraded tremendously through our decisions. Unfortunately, you can't see the decision until we've actually appointed the construction company, so we have to wait for 100 political power. We finished the basic guns, could go for the next level here, but it's still like 3.5 years until war. So let's go into engineering, grab computing machine. And then we can do the final purge, and Mr. Stalin no longer has to be so paranoid about everything. Let's go. 70 days. Meanwhile, paranoia is getting up there. We could wait, or we could do an inspection in the Air Force, get rid of some of that. We can now improve the construction company by bringing in several different experts. Now, the ones that I think are the best are the Americans, because they increase the efficiency cap. Higher efficiency cap by your industry makes everything better. There goes the block of rights and Trotskyites. The third Moscow trial. This is where we get rid of the last holdouts of anti-Soviet thinking, I guess. The final purge. And here you can see this is where the captain of industry, well, he's gone now, as you can see. This is where that captain of industry gets purged. So that concludes Stalin's paranoia. Stalin is now no longer paranoid. This is essentially turned off, and we can look to the future. Stalin's cult of personality, for instance. But we're not going to do that. First off, we are going to grab Eastern Development, as well as the USSR Academy of Sciences. This will give us another research slot. And then we're going to do found the PCDI, strengthen the mobilization plan, and essentially work our way down to this research slot. So we wanted 2 research slots. Research slots are good. We have some stuff to research. All right, we're going to bring in the American experts, and that gives us access to another level of improvement. So we can improve the civilian industry. This used to be really powerful, but they recently changed the way consumer goods factories work, so this is no longer as powerful as it used to be. Still decent. Specialization in the military industry, I think, is the better option here, since we will be building a lot of military factories. The 5% speed is going to be nice, and the 5% extra output is wonderful all on its own. Navy, you don't play Soviet naval games, so this is just something you never take. It's going to be go between civilian industry and military industry, and I think military industry is what we want. Once 1939 rolls in, we're going to stop building civilian factories. The ones that have a little progress in them will finish up, and then we're going to switch over fully to military factories. That is when the Soviet war machine shifts into high gear. Also get a nice amount of political power, and we're going to spend a little bit on hiring some people in the future, but not yet. We have time. We have time. One thing you want to keep an eye out is this decision, loosen prohibition in military academies. This gets rid of all the negative penalties we stacked up on our army, but it takes a little while to get done. So keep an eye on this. We want to click this as soon as we can, because with these modifiers, army's not that great. We're going to work on the improved small airframes, and then we're going to grab the engines 3. These are ahead of time, quite a bit, I know, but getting aircraft ahead of time is usually, well, almost always worth it, just because you can outclass the enemy in the skies. And with more military factories coming online, that is the perfect opportunity to bring our tank into production. Improved medium tank chassis. We're going to take a medium turret, the 3-man turret, slap on medium armaments, the medium howitzer. I like to add a basic radio at least. I want to add the best radio I can. People disagree with me. It's fine. If anyone has any ideas about how to build this tank, tell me in the comments. Then we're gonna add a special module, wet ammunition storage, and secondary turrets, heavy machine gun. We're gonna add 2 heavy machine guns. We don't have a lot of slots unlocked, so I'm just going with a basic tank. Instead of the bogey suspension here, I'm going with the torsion bar for more reliability. And then we're gonna jack up the engine as much as we can. 14. And a tiny bit of armor. Goal here is to get speed to be reasonably high. Ideally 12 kilometers an hour. Realistically, we're not going to get there. As high as we can get the speed while keeping reliability over 80. And armor should also be reasonably okay. This is a nice tank with good soft attack, decent-ish breakthrough, decent armor, decent speed. It's a decent tank that's not too expensive. We also have 200 political power. We're gonna go to Chief of the Air Force and hire Alexander Novikov. He did not get purged, so if this guy got purged, you won't have to wait for 200 political power and you can hire either one of the other ones. Since this guy survived, might as well get him. Air Reformer Genius, more air speed that will help with our airplanes in future. And slowly but surely, we're starting to build up a nice stockpile of medium tanks. Germany is going to propose the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Always sign it. There's really no upside in not signing it. It costs you political power and you miss out on a bunch of stuff. Honestly, all it does is not give you a non-aggression pact with Germany, which is kind of stupid anyway. I would always sign the treaty, gives you a bunch of free territories, some claims, and all it does is not allow us to go to closed economy, which is fine. Looking at our supply network, so open up the supply map. We're going to look at Kiev. We're going to try and make sure that there are level 3 railways. Best way to do that is to click the railway button. That there are level 3 railways leading to every supply hub that is along the river here. So this has to be a level 3 railway all the way to Moscow. Same for this one, same for that one, same for this one. And here in Kherson, we might actually want to build an additional supply hub. So we'll build a supply hub here in Kherson, move that to the top. It takes a while to build. Dnipropetrovsk has to be upgraded. So the easiest way to upgrade these is to just supply map mode, upgrade bottlenecks. Don't upgrade railways on the left side. That is honestly pointless because those railways are going to get blown up. While you've got all these spies running around in Germany as well, there are 2 useful operations you could and should be doing. First off is collaboration governments. Second option is to infiltrate the administration, the army, etc., and then use the blueprint stealing, which essentially means you get to steal some of their tech or grab a research bonus when you steal some of their tech. We have the maintenance companies too. Let's go into our tanks. Improved tanks. Let us make a couple of slight changes. We're going to take one of the heavy machine guns and we're going to replace it with the easy maintenance here. We're going to take one of the heavy machine guns and replace it with easy maintenance. Cost a little bit of army experience, but it's worth it. That's where we'll leave it at right now. Okay, I admit soft attack did go down a little bit, but these tanks are substantially cheaper now. And we can make these. So we are slowly but surely going to replace all of these light tanks with medium tanks, and we're going to add more medium tanks to the mix. We're going to start by adding a single division of medium tanks, brings them up to 20 width. Not ideal, but serviceable for the near future, and we will make more changes later on. So for now, we're going to add 1 medium tank, and then slowly but surely replace all of these light tanks with mediums as well. Later on, we'll bring these up to 30 combat width, but that can wait. Let's design some airplanes. So improved small airframe will take on the biggest engine we can, and we're going to fill the top here with heavy machine guns. I think they're the most cost-effective in my experience. We will add the self-sealing fuel tanks. We will add the drop tanks here. And then we're going to add the special module armor plates. My math was wrong. We're not going to add the drop tanks. Instead, we're going to add the extra fuel tanks. Yes, so this gives us a nice range, nice stats on our fighter. This should be okay for the foreseeable future. We'll add a production line of those as well. We'll add that beneath the BTRs. We want more BTRs first. In terms of research, that slot can now be used on infantry stuff. All right, we have our improved engineer companies as well. Let's grab logistics companies next. Logistics are always going to be very important when fighting in Russia, no matter who you are. So what we're going to do now is go into our Strelovkai, the basic infantry division. We're going to add some things. First off, we're going to add engineers. This will give the units entrenchment. Entrenchment is incredibly powerful on the defensive. And we're also going to add support anti-air, which is very helpful when you're fighting an enemy with an air force. Costs us a little bit of army experience, but should be fine. Then we're going to take the second army group, that secondary unit that's not on the main line. We're going to convert all 120 of those divisions into the original infantry template. You can see it's going to require a lot of equipment, but that's fine. We have a lot of equipment, and we're going to make that change, and we're going to exercise them a little bit more until they're trained. You can see that's not very far, so exercising is going well. As Baltic security done, we're now getting claims in the Baltic. This will allow us to send ultimatums to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Should be easy enough. That's why I'm saving up political power. I think you need 75 per country, and we're going to want to get all of these countries. Well, if you want to really cheese it, you could ignore Lithuania because it then reduces the border you'd have with Germany. But like I said, no or minimal cheese. Leningrad secured. We can now do claims on Bessarabia if we so choose. Doesn't really have to happen, but you could do it. We have about a year to go. I like to get positive heroism down to war heroes first. Let's bully Finland. Will they submit, yes or no? They say no, because they usually say no. We'll use that war goal. We'll declare the war, slow the game down a little bit. This is the main army group. Let them attack aggressively. Make sure that they have motorization priority set to 3 trucks. Same with the mountaineers. Attack aggressively, motorization priority, and the tanks as well. Should be able to overrun Finland in literally no time at all. Other stuff at this point you might want to research, since most things are ahead of time too far to really be bothered, is some of the fuel refining techs. You will be running a lot of airplanes and a lot of tanks, and while you do have a nice amount of oil, it's nice to not have to worry. Finland offers concessions. You could pick the top option, which is the most historical one. You get a white peace with Finland, you become owner of a couple of territories, most notably Karelia, Salla, and all the way up there Petsamo. Sounds great, and you're more than welcome to take this option if you want pure historicalness, but since we're here anyway, we need all of Finland. There we go, Finland submits. So what I usually take is just Karelia, because obviously, and the rest of this I don't really want, so I just puppet them everywhere that is not Karelia. Might as well take their navy while I'm at it. Out of boredom, and because I have so many slots, I've just been researching radio tech. So radio detection allows you to build radar. I'm going to work down that tree as well. Not required, but something fun to do. And then start building a radar station in Kiev. Once you get that upgraded to level 3 or 4, it will cover most of the front. You can build a second one up here near Daugavpils. That will allow you to get really good air coverage and just shoot down more of the German airplanes. 200 political power in the bank. Let us hire Konstantin Rokossovsky, the armor genius. Right, Japan's gonna offer you a non-aggression pact. Always take the pact. Just to make a quick check, Black Sea Fleet out on strike force to ensure that we hold on to the Black Sea. The Baltic Fleet out on strike force again to make sure that we hold on to the Black Sea, along with all the submarines there. Air Force up over the Baltics, Belarus and Ukraine. Should be enough airplanes to at least give the Germans a fight of it. Infantry is positioned all along the river line here, covering Vitebsk, covering Kiev and the tiles next to Kiev, and then covering Dnipropetrovsk, with armor support behind the line at the critical points being Dnipropetrovsk, Kiev here, and Vitebsk up there. And now we just wait. There we go. Justification is happening. So Germany is doing its war on the USSR focus. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. We finished rehabilitated military. That's about all the preparation we can do. We cannot take desperate measures until Germany actually attacks us. We could improve the Stalin line. This built us a couple of land forts in some good places, notably Kiev, but honestly, there's just not really a point to it. There we go, third 5-year plan disrupted. Curses! It's fine, Germany's now gonna come knocking. If you're not an idiot like me, military reorganization should be done or almost done. In my case, I'm stuck with it for another 50 days, but it's fine, it's more than fine. Simply sit back, relax, and watch the Germans drive in. If you have any excess political power and you really want to meme on them, what you could very easily do is start using Scorched Earth. Just blow up railways, making it more difficult for them to get to you. It just slows them down. It's not required. I'm not going to do it. Don't really feel like the extra clicks are going to help me all that much. Oh no, they're about to reach Kiev. I'm so scared. They won't have enough supply. They won't have enough units. And look at the green bubbles. We are entrenched in our own home terrain with terrain advantage and air advantage. We're actually doing pretty well in the air war. We're going to sit here and wait. We can bleed them dry. Whenever you see a red bubble, it will usually be around around Kiev, maybe Dnipropetrovsk, or up here. Shuffle some units around, but I mean by that, if this were to be green and this unit's not in combat, take 2 or 3 units out of this pile, walk them over in there. Or if Vitebsk is about to fall or is taking a beating, drive a tank into the combat. It will help defeat the enemy, and then it will drive back here to reorganize. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady crushes the German Reich. So we should be getting nothing but green bubbles. This is an impregnable fortress. Air could be red, could be yellow, but give it a little bit of time and this will turn green, I guarantee you. Just keep deploying more airplanes once you get a little bit of a stockpile, or just keep reinforcing the airplanes you already have up. Eventually, we will outlast the Germans in the sky. While this is going on, we're going to finish military reorganization, grab desperate measures, and then work our way down the tree once we can. Penal battalions sucks, Mersch barrier troops all not that great. Glory of the Red Army is pretty good, so this is something I'd want to work towards. Love to see it. Meanwhile, we've lost 30,000 brave men. We've already killed almost 700,000 Germans. So yeah, this defensive line, it's not gonna get breached. The Soviets are mighty, and the Germans can't really do anything about it. We'll keep working on our doctrines as you do, and essentially we're just waiting to start our counterattack. We could start right away, but considering we're in such a good position, why not bleed the Germans a little bit more and then prepare for our counterattack? So at this point in time, you really have 2, maybe 3 options here. One, the cowardly way, is to simply sit here and wait. Germany will expend all of its manpower, all of its equipment, trying to break through your line, which they can't. At the same time, you wait for desperate measures to wear off, you grab lessons of war, you go all the way down to glory of the Red Army, you start your counterattack, or maybe not. Maybe by then, the Allies have already defeated Germany. Second option is to start bringing the fight to the Germans. You can already tell these guys having a real bad day, and my intention today is to make that day so much worse for them. So I'm going to try a small tank assault from the area up near Kiev down towards Odessa, Mykolaiv, because that will allow us to cut off that entire section and we can start our counterattack in earnest. If we can get to the tile just above Mykolaiv, we cut everything off, because this here, this little stretch looks like a river, but it's actually part of the Black Sea. And voila, just like that, everything around Dnipropetrovsk has been encircled. We'll redirect the tanks to make sure they take up the position towards the pocket we just created, and we'll use the tanks to clean it up. I always use tanks to clean up pockets simply because they are so much neater at doing all of this. As you can tell, this is a good number of divisions to start with, because those are divisions they will not be able to replace for a while, and if they do, they're gonna pay out the nose. It is way more expensive in terms of manpower and industry to replace a division than it is to replace combat losses from a division that's lost a fight. So that was almost 60 Romanian divisions, I think. Let's see what the end result here is once we close the final pocket. All right, that's all of those divisions gone. That brings Germany up to 2 million casualties. We've done 1.6 of those. Romania's lost 300,000 men in that. Italy has also lost 140,000 men there. Yeah, they did not have a particularly good time here. And Germany's down to less than 300 divisions. And basically, we continuously set up for things like this. We find bulges in their army, or we create pincer movements. All right, the weather has cleared somewhat in this area. Let's see if we can get the Vinnytsia, a 2-pronged attack from Kiev and the south here. See if we can punch our way through. And again, a key feature of all of this is going to be encirclements. Encircle and destroy, and preferably use tanks to clean up the encirclements, simply because they take far fewer casualties. And with Vinnytsia taken, that gives us a springboard to move to the next area, which is probably going to be down along this river towards Odessa, maybe even into Romania itself. Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria are not important factors, honestly. You just need to capitulate Germany. Italy will usually be dead by that point due to Allied naval landings. They have 0 opportunities to survive. And as you're slowly edging your way forward, the goals of your campaign, other than encirclements, is going to be the railway network. Push towards supply hubs, capture those supply networks, make sure they're connected to your own network, because you're going to need the hubs to move forward. Without supply, you're not going anywhere. Make sure you have the supply, and then maybe then you can actually get an advance going, because your tanks are mighty and strong, but if they're not getting fuel, they're not going anywhere. Now, I am microing the movements of these tanks because I don't just want to rely on the AI using the battle plans properly. I'm trying to drive along the railway tracks towards those points that I just mentioned, trying to go through the types of terrain that hurt me the least, mainly plains, and trying to avoid the muddy areas unless I really can't. Looks like at least down south things have gone well. Up north we have also reached Minsk with pretty limited opposition. See if we can get to Bobruisk as well. It's another major supply hub. And then we're gonna try, I'm being greedy, you don't have to be as greedy as I am, but I'm gonna try to get from Minsk towards Bialystok, whatever that place is, and then from Lviv to up there, and see just how stupid we can make this one big encirclement. If you're watching a guide on how to play this, this may not be for you. Just keep it limited in scope, couple of divisions at a time. The simple idea is still the same. Southern push is headed to Brest-Litovsk as we speak. Northern thrust is gonna head down. See if we can't meet up in the area. And the jaws have slammed shut. The entirety of the German army group center is trapped, and we're gonna use the armor to clean up. Now, this is all pretty much swampy terrain, not ideal, but it's still going to be way easier to clean them up with tanks than to use anything else. Now, the Germans are going to see that and panic, and you can see that they've just launched a massive assault on our lines. Because we're a little stretched thin with this big old pocket, might lose a couple of tiles, but with air power in place and just the sheer amount of divisions the supply issues they have and the sheer amount of divisions they're constantly losing should not be all that much of a threat to us. That is the last of those divisions gone. Let's take another look at casualties. We've almost killed 5 million Germans. They're down to 170 divisions. I think we've destroyed half their army. Probably. The Romanians have almost lost 500,000. Bulgaria's lost 150,000. Hungary's lost 230-ish. So, yeah. By simply dismantling the German army piecemeal, we're inflicting millions of casualties, and we've not even taken 200,000 losses. Simply because I'm mostly using armor to do it. Armor and air support, which means I am virtually taking no damage while dishing out all of the damage. As long as the weather holds, I'm going to try another big push out from Minsk towards the coastline here near Memel, cut off the northern section of the front. So again, from Minsk towards Vilnius, from Vilnius to Kaunas, and then from Kaunas to Memel. Congratulations to Army Group North. You've also managed to get yourselves trapped utterly and completely. Beautiful. Once we take all the ports, they won't be able to get their units out. Otherwise, they'll try to reroute all of the divisions that it can get out to the port, and then from the port try to sail to Gdynia or Danzig and reinforce the main line. Essentially, the AI will try to get its units out of encirclements. We want to try to avoid that whenever we can, obviously, because we want those units to be gone and not fight them again sometime at a later date. Let's go back up towards Brest-Litovsk and Bialystok, and then down here towards Suwalki, and then to Bialystok. Cut off this protrusion of the German lines. Feels like I'm bullying a cripple at this point, though. Still, we came here to win. That's what we're gonna do. And while we're doing dumb things, let's hit the Danzig, cut off the northern section a bit. I'm simply shearing off portions of the German army all the time now. Oh, well, you look at that. We're in Danzig and Gdynia. That is the Königsberg pocket encircled. Must be frightening being in German high command at this point and realizing you've lost 2/3 of your military and you haven't been able to destroy a single Soviet division, let alone make a dent in their industrial capacity or their manpower reserves. Oh, I'm not entirely sure why Japan is attacking me. It says I have started a war with Japan. I don't remember doing that, if I'm honest. Doesn't matter. Plenty of troops in reserve. And if any of you have an idea why I'm suddenly fighting myself at war with Japan, let me know down in the comments, because I'm curious. Yeah, at this point, whatever passes for their army, it's not feeling too hot. And that whole thing is encircled. Let's use the tanks to now clean it up as well. Yeah, we're just shearing off vast portions of the German army's front lines at a time. That is such a satisfying thing to do, but not necessary. You can do this with small scale encirclements and eventually just whittle them down as well. This is just me having fun. I think that is what Hearts of Iron is all about. Having fun while watching the enemy die, and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm simply gonna make a big old tank push up north. We'll take out Berlin, we'll take out Mecklenburg, we'll pretty much rip the heart out of Germany. And when they capitulate, it's just gonna be a matter of cleaning up Vichy, cleaning up Italy, and maybe the Balkans. Depends if one of those Balkan nations manages to snag a major position. I doubt it, but you never really know. Could be Hungary, could be Romania, could be Bulgaria. Either one of these three can become a major power. Right now they're not, but the way capitulations work, that might happen. Anyway, we have taken Berlin. I wonder if Mr. Schmittler is going... Oh no, he's still around. I think it's time we end this. I'm going to break all of these ciphers. Italy, Romania, Germany, all of them. We're going to set all of our field marshals to attack. Infantry offensives are not optimal, but at this point, Germany or any of the Balkan nations can't really stop us. And we're going to match that with an armor advance right through to wherever we need to go. Maybe Italy. All of this combined with our massive air power means we're going to watch the Axis crumble. Right now, we're up to 300,000 losses. This is going to shoot up now that I've started my infantry offensive. But yeah, we've inflicted 7 million casualties on the Germans alone. They're not going to bounce back from this. There goes Germany. Now it's just Italy left to be capitulated. All that's left now is Italy, and well, I don't know how long you've been playing Hearts of Iron, but I think by now you know that Italy is really, they're not a real country. Benito's been deposed. It should all be over soon. Once Italy goes, Italy's gone. All right, well, I guess it's all over now. Romania's about to be gone. Bulgaria's about to be gone. And the world will be at peace again, covered in a nice red Soviet blanket. In terms of the peace deal, do whatever you want. I'm just gonna create a bunch of puppets because I like to watch the world burn. And with that beautiful, beautiful peace deal, we've reshaped the map of Europe into something very, very red. Of course, I still have a bit of a Japan problem, which will be resolved very quickly as soon as I get more men here. Japan is simply going to disintegrate. It's already falling apart as it is. It's just a matter of, well, finishing the job, as they say, and sailing my navy over there to get to Japan proper. Quick and dirty naval invasion of Japan. I lost a lot of ships. I admit, I lost a lot of ships trying to get them over to the Sea of Japan. It happens. It's a long way to sail and they are quite vulnerable on their way. Even still, should be able to get naval invasion superiority easily because the Allies are also ganging up on Japan. We've overrun everything, pretty much everything they have on the mainland. Let's just get my tanks across, invade, get it over with. With my air power and my armored strength in position, I really don't think they have anything that could even slow me down. Yeah, Japan's taken 3.7 million casualties, that they barely have an army. It's a matter of just driving to the victory points. There goes Tokyo. Hooray! Well, the world looks not great. We got two Japans here. State of Japan and Japan. Of course it does. China looks oddly disgusting with Xinjiang taking some stuff. Okay. All in all, you know, Soviet Union, most powerful country on Earth, most powerful country in Europe. The faction is thick. It's strong. It is good to go. If you at this point want to take out the Allies, Europe can be overrun relatively easy with your land-based army. And you got a big chunky navy to get yourselves to the UK, and from there maybe even America. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my slight mistakes here and there, or the weird and wackiness that can happen when you play this game, and I hope that your next venture into this game as the Soviet Union will be successful. Anyway, see you in the next video.